Musicians sitting on stage and playing piano solo, it's a context that has been around for the past 200 years. Frédéric Chopin and Ferenc Liszt sort of invented the thing, as I see it. So for me it was particularly interesting to use this old genre and fill it with new ideas, with new content. I'm a classically trained musician, I'm a jazz player, I'm a composer, so all these things sort of come together on these records in my takes on some jazz standards, some classical compositions, and of course some originals. So I was playing my solo program for a while, and at some point I decided that it's time to record it. So I thought about my repertoire, and an idea occurred to me that it would be nice to unite the whole thing under one lyrical mood. And the record was supposed to happen in September, so I thought, let's try to create this early autumn mood on this record. And I went into the studio and I closed my eyes and I tried to play the whole program without thinking about notes, without thinking about chords or whatever musicians think about. I was really trying to imagine myself walking in the park when it's sunny, or sometimes, the light September rain. Sometimes it really feels like summer, but you can sense the fall in the air. So this is why the record is called Music for September. Covered, for example, the Bach Sinfonia in G minor many years ago when I was a child trying to learn how to play piano. And I was struck immediately by how modern the harmonies are. And I was trying to improvise already, so I would practice my G minor invention and always go into some improvisation. So my mom would run out of the kitchen and scream at me because she's a pianist herself and she didn't really like that. And at some point I was always carrying the idea I will do something with this particular piece. So when I improvise on classical pieces, I hope that I'm contributing to the understanding of the music and not violating the composer's will. There are also a couple of jazz standards on this record. And for me, coming from Ukraine and living in Germany and then coming to the US to study jazz, playing standards is a very difficult and challenging thing. And for a long time, I didn't see myself in the jazz standard repertoire. But an interesting thing has happened to me. About 3 years ago, I was asked to create a program on Soviet movie music. And, Soviet movie melodies are the standards to me because I grew up with those melodies. So they are more standard to me than jazz standards in the States. And I created a program of arrangements on that music, and I presented it in Russian and the Ukraine. And suddenly I felt such a deep connection with the audience because we were working with melodies that everyone knew. And I was thinking, wow, so this is how I should approach American jazz standards. I have to learn the lyrics, I have to learn the history, I have to understand why these songs are still around, and I have to feel them. I have to, have my goosebumps from those songs, not just using them as vehicles for jazz improvisation. And this is how, for example, I approached a ballad, Body and Soul. I really try to make the listener hear the words without the words being sung. Hopefully you can hear it on the record. The same happens for my romance. Also, there is an interesting rendition of bebop tune Bird-like, written by Freddie Hubbard. I was trying to, combine a Bach two-part invention concept with bebop, and it was particularly interesting for me to keep the whole bebop head as an ostinata in the left hand. So now when people listen to the recording, they ask me, Vadim, did you do some overdubs? Well, I swear I didn't do any overdubs. I just practiced a lot to make it happen. So I'm very fortunate to have one of my biggest influences and musical heroes and mentors, pianist and composer Fred Hersch, as a producer of this recording. When I moved back to New York after the Monk Institute in 2009, I was very fortunate to meet Fred, and Fred sort of became a mentor for me. He completely changed the way I play. He deeply influenced my music, I really can say that. And of course it was a big honor when Fred agreed to be a producer of this record. Basically, we just went to the studio in Stamford, Connecticut. Fred helped me to get the best sound out of the piano and the mic configuration. He really revealed all his secrets. And then he was sitting in the studio booth and listening to me playing. And it was such a big encouragement when Fred told me, Vadim, you have it, the record is there. Almost the whole record was done from the first take, and if I wouldn't have Fred sitting there, I would go crazy and record, 15 takes. But I have very, very high trust in Fred's opinion, and he really helped me to make this session very quick, smooth, and very, very inspiring, because playing for him was very, very special. The official CD release concert and party will happen at Kitano in New York on April 25th. I'm going to play some solo piano. I will also invite some of my musical friends. I have an amazing, very exciting group of musicians that I just assembled a few months ago, which is called Vadim's Agricultural Dreams, with Demis Sheffer, Tomoko Omura, Ronan Itzik, David Mooney, and Dan Fuss, and I think they will also participate in that concert, and maybe some surprise guests, I don't know yet, but I hope to see you there.